Welcome back, guys, to the Beyond Condition podcast, where we have a returning guest, Shelly, who was on way back earlier in the year. So it's super cool to have you back on. I've seen you at a few shows and things. So thank you, first of all, for coming on.
You're welcome.
It's always a pleasure. We always have such a good vibe when we see each other. So it's super cool to carry that over onto the pod. So today we're going to talk about your Olympia dream, getting ready for Olympia, which is like the penultimate, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh, it's crazy. Is this something you've always had in your mind to aim for?
To be fair, when I first started, I just wanted to keep fit and I wanted a challenge. And I thought, why not try doing some bodybuilding? So that's how I actually began.
Yeah, because have you been competing? Is it a couple of years now?
So I've been competing 3 years. Yeah.
Yeah. And to remind the listeners, which we touched on before, what were you doing before in regards to sport and sort of through childhood and into adulthood?
Yeah. So I started doing gymnastics at the age of 7. And then I went on to competitive gymnastics at the age of 8, so not long. And then after, I went into sports acro. So I was on a national prep squad for that. And then I decided I was going to take up ballet at the grand age of 25.
Why not?
Because I've always loved ballet. I did a little bit of ballet as a child, but not much. But I wasn't able to combine the two together with gymnastics. So they told me I need to go either way if I want to do dance or want to do gymnastics. So I thought, okay, I want to do gymnastics competitively. Back in the day, they said that it went against each other. Now I feel like they actually help each other and aid each other, as long as you know the mechanics of both. So, different approaches right about now. But anyways, I took it up as an adult. So I did that. And then my next adventure, which was actually going with the ballet, was cheerleading. I took that up in university. It's kind of like Bring It On. There was no gymnastics team. This is the last resort, literally. And then I fell in love with cheerleading. And then I decided, okay, I'm going to do a competition with my university, got scouted for a all-star team and went to Worlds in 2015 with Team England and competed for the UK and retired. Then after that, I took up bodybuilding. So, and here I am today.
It's crazy, isn't it? I'd imagine from what I sort of know from the outside point of view that the discipline you needed in all of those sports has lent itself really well to bodybuilding.
Yes, it really has. And you know what? I'm so happy that this journey, as crazy as it's been, it means that I can do everything that I love and perform it, which is to me quite mind-blowing. And I never thought that would happen. When I first went into this and decided to go for my IFBB Pro card, I was only looking at figure. And then my eyes got opened to fitness. So
yeah.
Yeah.
You bring much more flair into it, can't you?
Yes.
So with the fitness category, again, I only know limited about that. Could you tell us a little bit more about what that involves?
Yes. So the fitness category is 30% body or physique round, and you have to look like a figure athlete. And so it's the same criteria in terms of how the body is marked.
Okay.
So frame, symmetry, muscle separation. Your muscles have to be balanced. So, your shoulders shouldn't be bigger than your quads and so on. And then you have the routine element, which is actually 70%. So what they do is they take your physique mark, they take your routine mark, and they double your routine mark, and then your scores get added together. The one with the lowest score, which means the lowest errors, wins. It's as simple as that. So our focus is not exactly on our physique, it's more the routine, but at this standard, you need to be focusing and trying to get both right. But obviously, you need to know that the routine is more weighted. So
Mm,
that's the tricky part, I guess.
yeah, sure. I guess with learning your routine, because it's so heavily marked and there's a lot going on that, it would count a lot towards your calorie expenditure as well when you're looking at your training plan overall.
Yeah, so you can't approach it as if you're just going to step on stage and do posing, because you need to have enough energy to practice your routine, because it means that you are doing extra practice, because you're not just lifting the weights. You got to think about, obviously, your routine practice and also your skill practice, because and stretching,
Yeah.
because you have to do all those elements in order to put a routine together. And then the choreographing part as well, which needs to come into play.
Yeah.
And then actually drilling the routine. So you do need to have energy to then be able to do weights, cardio,
Yeah.
and still look lean on the day
And still be able to survive the day.
and survive the day. Yes. So your macro split or your calories in which you are inputting will probably be slightly different. You may have a different look as well. So you might not come in as hard. You know, some people play to their strengths and think, right, okay, maybe in the body, if I get too lean, I might not be able to get through my routine. So it's trying to find that balance. So that's the bit that makes this category quite fun.
Yeah. Do you make your
And
own routine or do you have input from someone?
so at the moment, I do have input from someone. Whitney Jones, current Miss Olympia, has choreographed my routine this year. Last year, it was done on my own. So yeah, that was very special.
What would you say the big differences are working with someone? Is there some big changes?
Yes, so now I fully understand my first year in
Mm,
IMBB. I fully understand what is needed in terms of the criteria. So I understood it, but you know, there's certain elements that you won't understand unless you can, you know, unless you hit that pro stage or you have been around pros themselves or seen shows with pros in it and how it works, especially when it comes to the routine. Because we do have mandatories,
yeah.
and as much as I would hit the mandatories, I wasn't sure how many mandatories I needed, what tempo the routine should be. I learned all of that this year from Whitney. She's been amazing. And I also learned, you know, the speed in which they want it. Cardiovascular comes into play, endurance, the fact that we shouldn't really be pausing, you know, be like, oh yeah, okay. And then go into, you know, it needs to flow. You know, all of this goes and adds up to your final score, I should say. So also presentation and performance. So it's one of those things where you need to remember, as much as I need to get all these skills, it's like it is a performance at the end of the day, and you need to entertain the crowd and the judges. So, you know, learning all of that, which has actually been challenging, but it's been fun journey, and I'm just excited to put something out there that's, you know, more improved. Every time I improve, I'm happy with that. So that's how I've always been.
Yeah, I think that's so important as a competitor anyway, isn't it? Being in a subjective sport, you know,
Yeah.
the outcome, although you've got the winning mentality and we all want to do really well in the sport, the outcome's based on what you see as your achievements. And if you've gone and smashed it in your mind, you've done your routine, you've nailed your prep, that's an achievement in itself, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I've always said to myself, you know what? If I come last on stage, so be it. As long as I know that I tried my absolute best and I've improved from show to show to show, that is all I want. And I've done that with all the sports that I've been in. I haven't always like won,
Mm.
which I think a lot of people see me in bodybuilding doing.
Yeah, you do clean up.
Just so happen to you know, it's a bonus. But at the same time, every time I've done a show, no matter what discipline, I just like to improve and learn from it and then keep going. Because at the end of the day, if I'm doing it, I'm a 0 to 100 person. I just put my all in, or I don't do it at all. I put my all in, and then I would inevitably want to keep improving, and that means I love what I do. So, you know.
How have you found in sports when you haven't, say, won a competition, for people that listen that, you know, haven't placed at a show? Is there certain things that you've been able to bring into your mindset to be able to carry on and keep going at that sport?
Yeah, so I try and look at it not as a devastation or, oh, this is so sad, and no. I actually will just look. I'll be like, okay, let's look at how I performed first of all. Let's look at how my competition performed, and then I'm able to then be like, okay, I can see now why.
Yeah.
And then I'll put a plan of action forward pretty much straight away.
Mm.
I'm a goal person, so it might be a small goal, but I'll put that action in. That way, that will keep me focused on the fact that I didn't place,
Yeah.
and then try and improve from there. That's what
Yeah.
I've literally always done. Gymnastics, I was the same. Cheerleading, the same. Cheerleading, I was actually my first team. We lost like the first 3 competitions and we got booed at one point. And then I was like, okay, fine. So we went back, and we thought, how can we improve this? But what was a special moment is 4 years later, when I was about to leave, we actually won the British Open. So
Yeah.
you go.
It shows you if you stick at something, doesn't it? Because it is hard, especially bodybuilding, like where it's so subjective, it can really knock your confidence,
Yeah.
especially, first timers. If you go into a show and you don't get a look in, you think, should I still be doing this? Because prep is hard, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. How have you found this prep? Is it been different to previous preps?
No, actually, it's actually more exciting. I have to say. To be fair, I actually like the whole process of prepping. But this time around, it's like, wow, you're about to step on that big, big, big stage. So I think that has made me, as much as I am a focused person, I mean, now I'm tunnel vision. So I'm not even thinking about anything but looking my absolute best.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
On that stage. For me, I tend to not watch others.
I'm the
That's
same.
so I know it's quite a few would watch others and then get scared and then start to, I just stay in my lane, as I say, keep focused, and just put out what I know to be the best version of myself.
Yeah, for sure. And with your bodybuilding journey in itself, was it UKUP you started with?
I did UKUP and I did Pure Elite.
And you did well in both of those?
Yeah, so UKUP, I ended my journey with them as the Pro Ultimate Model champion. And then Pure Elite, I won the overall amateur, and then I went on to win the overall pro 2 times in a row. And then I switched to IFBB, where I did my first qualifier to step on the Arnold stage. And then I went to the Arnold's and I got my pro card, got invited to the pro show, won the pro show, and got my Olympia qualification. So
Wow. It's crazy, isn't it? Did you go to the Arnold's one? Obviously, you want to get a pro card, but did
yeah.
you feel that that was achievable at that time?
Yes, I did actually. You know what? I said to myself, nothing's impossible. And I knew what was up for grabs. So I said, I'm just going to give it my all and see what happens.
Yeah. And what was the feeling like when you won the overall?
That was mind blowing.
Yeah.
I can't even describe that feeling. It was just so surreal. At first, I was like, are you sure that's me? I think I had an outer
Yeah.
body experience or something. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I was speechless. I don't know. It was quite a lot, but I just wanted to show others as well that you can literally do anything, because I always hear you can't just step on a stage and win, or there's all these politics involved, or but I did it. They didn't know who I was.
Sure.
I didn't.
Yeah, going in with the undeniable physique and everything that goes into your performance.
Yeah, so I just went on, with what I had. I'm the type of person that looks at rules and criteria, make sure obviously I match it. So I would say that's very important. So when you're going into something, know the rules, know the criteria, because that way, when something happens where you don't place, at least you won't be as disappointed as well, because you'll know, right, this is what I need to look like, so we keep moving forwards until we look like that.
For sure. What
Yeah.
sort of made you go into the IFBB realm? Did you find that because you'd had such good success with the other federations, it was your sort of next step?
Yes, it was. And my wonderful partner, boyfriend, he opened up my eyes to the IFBB world, and he's an open class bodybuilder himself.
Awesome.
Um, so as much as I had the idea in my head, when we met and we started talking about it, he made it feel like a reality to me to go forward with it. So yeah, I have to thank him for that, especially with the fitness as well, because I got messages saying, oh, you should do fitness in lockdown, because I was tumbling with my daughter in the park. And I was like, oh, okay. But I didn't really know much about the fitness category. So I think my mission in life is to actually get that across now, that there is a category called fitness. I'm so happy that my eyes got open to that. And then my partner was like, oh, it makes sense for you to do fitness. And then I was like, oh, okay, I heard that I should, but now that you're saying it, let's go and put the two together. And that was it, because I already was going for figure, and that's the body you needed.
Yeah. Ideal.
So but by that point I was like, oh, my gymnastics is very scratchy. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna go into the gym, the gymnastics adult class, and try and get some skills back. And then he gave me the confidence to go for that. So I was happy that happened, so I could actually discover the fitness category, and here I am today, because that's what I got my pro card in and my Olympia qualification.
For sure. Is he coming with you to Las Vegas?
Of course, yes.
How do you feel being with a bodybuilder? Does it complement well?
It does, because he understands my journey. He understands what I'm going through. And we work hard, both of us. So it lends hand in hand. So if I'm in the gym for 4 hours, he understands, which is cool. You're like, oh, why are you in the gym 4 hours? No, he's like, oh, okay, And I always get encouragement every day to get things done, even when I'm, flagging, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's like, you need to get up and go. And I'm like, okay. And then I'm, so I always have support, but not just in this. He will support me in pretty much anything, but it does help when you both do the same sport.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. Like, it's a dramatic difference being with someone that's really not into it, and then someone that understands, because like you say, you don't have to explain anything, they just understand.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so much easier. Is he in prep at the moment, or is he?
No, he's not in prep at the moment, but he did a show of me this year. So I've always wanted to do that as well. So it would be nice if we, if I can join you as a pro, because he was a pro before me. So yeah, that's all a reality now. So yeah, he'll be in Vegas.
Yeah, for sure. It's so exciting, isn't it? Like, it's like, it almost feels like something that you wouldn't ever like, you dream of it, but is it going to happen? And then it's like, you're going to do it.
Yes, and then that's it, and it's like so close now.
Yeah, for sure. Are you at that point where you're digging quite deep in prep?
I would say I feel like I'm getting tired, the usual, exhausted, all of that, but I'm excited too, if that makes sense. So it's like I'll feel exhausted, and then I'm like, oh, I'm going to be stepping on this stage. So then I kind of snap out of it.
How long is this prep been in total? Because you've done obviously competitions earlier in the year.
So I've gone from a prep to a prep to a prep. So I knew that my ultimate goal was to look the best on the Olympia stage. And the other competitions, I really wanted to just get my name out there again. I wanted to do Arnold's UK again because it was very special. But at the same time, I wanted to keep practicing my routine. So that's why I decided to do the 2 shows beforehand as well. Because this is my first year. I needed to get out there, and I also needed to practice a routine, to the standard that I need to put out for Olympia. And I felt like I had, valuable practice time, and I feel really good now, or I feel like I'm in a good place to hit that stage. So yeah, I'm really thankful for this year. I'm thankful for also, getting Whitney on board to help me as well, put my routine together. That's been amazing in terms of, choreographing.
Yeah. Did you have posing coaches right at the start of your bodybuilding journey?
So I did have a posing coach. This year I haven't. So I put everything together. At some point, Winnie looked at my posing as well, just to make sure you always need a pair of eyes.
Yeah.
So the posing has been done by myself and eyes.
Yeah, I think it's something that's so relevant though, isn't it, for all competitors? I think
Yeah.
a lot of people sort of come into this sport and it can be quite expensive in regards to, food, training, coach, whatever
Yeah.
else. And I always try and say to people, the cost of a posing coach or someone's input is so valuable because all the training and everything that goes into it, if you don't exhibit your best physique on
Yeah.
stage, then you may not get the outcome that you could if you were to, put that time and effort into. And also someone watching you, giving you that feedback, you do need to have that because obviously it's a shell shock when you get on stage. It's like,
Yes.
oh my God, I'm being judged. What the hell?
Well, yeah. So I always say definitely invest in one in the beginning. So in the beginning, I did have Sydney Gillen. She posed me. And I also had Ria Girl. So she posed me for Arnold's UK. And then obviously this year, I took all of that away and was able to just, put a routine together. And as I said, I had the eyes and they said it was great and it was good to go. So that was it, which
For
was
sure.
lovely.
Yeah, it's so valuable. It's like having a coach for the bodybuilding, the training and the nutrition as well. Do you have a coach for that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So I
it's
do have a coach for nutrition, and that is Louise Rogers. Yes.
yeah,
So my prep coach. Yes.
it's it's a crazy journey bodybuilding and like prep, it's so nice to have that input and for someone to just control that and you not have to think about that as well and
Yeah.
just to do.
Yes. I always say, even if you're a coach, you should have someone looking at you, because no matter how stable you think you is or your mind is, you always look at yourself differently.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I know I go through a lot of stages where I'm like, I wake up and I'm like, I look good. And I'm like, I look flat.
Yeah.
Am I ready? I think I'm ready. No, I'm not ready. So, all these things going on in my head that I just need someone there to be like, look, you need to do this and this. We're not quite there yet, or we are there yet. You need a refeed. It's hard to do it yourself. I mean, you can, but I think it's always good to have someone looking at you.
Yeah, for sure. And talking about doing back-to-back shows, I think again it's something that's very relevant for competitors, especially, if you haven't done it before, doing a couple of shows rather than just one show in a whole season is such
Yes.
a good thing, practicing your peaks, getting stage time, like which is what you've utilized it for, and just getting
Yeah.
used to being on stage and being judged. It's so important, I think, as I've gone through, it's much better to do at least a couple of shows in a season, isn't it?
I definitely think so. And it's valuable. All the feedback you can get will help you towards, really doing well in the next season. I also say, if you're going to do a couple of shows, try and get shows that are close together so that you're not always, in a prep. Or you can make sure you have shows that have gaps as well, so that you can have a break, have a refeed, and then start again. So I have had that. So I took a couple of days off every time and just ate and enjoyed life. And, didn't think much about training. And then I just went, right, back in the game. Now that I feel refreshed,
Yeah.
we go again.
Yeah. And how do you approach sort of off the back of a show, having those couple of days? Do you just enjoy some foods that you want and then get back
Yeah,
on track? Yeah. Yeah.
pretty much. Yeah. And then when I go back on, though, my calories are a little bit higher, because you can't stay that lean for too long. So I will then go back to higher calories, not as high as obviously in a off season or when I'm doing a bulk, but I'll go to a nice amount of calories where I can get through my workouts, and then we go from there again, decrease until I look how I'm supposed to look.
Yeah, for sure. Have you thought about what you're going to do after the Olympia yet?
I would love to, but I need to apply for it, of course. Would love to do Arnold's US. That's something I've always wanted to do. And then after that, I am thinking of doing Chicago Pro next year. There are other shows, but those two definitely are in my mind at the moment.
Okay. So would you have a fairly short off-season phase?
Yes. I'm in a lucky position right now where I don't think I need to have a big off season to gain a lot of muscle. So I think I just need to just keep going, conditioning, refining, because you can always refine and condition, you know,
Yeah.
and, tweak things, of course. But I think I'm ready to go. I just want to keep refining, keep conditioning, and then go on to the next. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good spot to be in if you can get to the point that you match the criteria really well in regards to what muscle you have in the physique. Like you say, you can then put your energies into that recovery phase, having a
Yeah.
little bit of like a mini off season, but then
Yes.
go straight back in because you've already got the physique.
Yes. No, yeah. That's
Mm.
exactly it. So, but I did put a lot of hard work, obviously, to get into this position. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, as I said, there's always little bits that I can improve. So I'll be looking to do that in my mini off season.
Yeah. And will you stick to IFBB now?
Of course, yes. There's any way.
Yeah. I
I'm pro.
once you get there and you're the pro in your category, there's a lot.
Yeah,
If you can do it internationally, there's a lot available, isn't there?
there is. There's a lot of shows as well. All the pro shows pretty much have prize money
Which is
as
good.
well.
Mm.
So, and then it also gives you access to making this into a career, which I do believe has been the only federation that's got me this far in terms of career wise in bodybuilding.
Have you found there's been a change for your own coaching business in regards to getting more accolades in the sport?
Yes.
Yeah,
Old.
really.
Yes.
With applications and interest.
Yes, most
Mm.
definitely. Yeah. I've been coaching for, gosh, over 20 years, gymnastics. So to come in to coach bodybuilding for me was like, it was a great transition because I was able to home in all my skills from that and then transfer over and then add them together, which has been such a nice journey as well.
Yeah, for sure. So are you just online coaching now for bodybuilding or you do the gymnastics as well?
I do both. I'm also a part of the British Gymnastics Committee as well. So that's another job I do.
And you're a mum.
And I'm a mom.
How do you find that managing everything? Do you find it's quite good in prep because you're busy?
Yes, I am very, very busy. I just have to be extremely organized.
Yeah.
So I make sure that my diary's in check. If anything gets too much, I talk to various people to make sure that I'm able to handle the workload. And also, I do have support, which is I'm very grateful for. So whenever I need to take a step back, that support team will come in as well.
Yeah. And because I remember on the last pod, did you say that your mum helps quite a lot?
Yes, so my mom helps quite a lot with my daughter. To be fair, I was thinking if it wasn't for her, would I be able to do this?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she helps. My daughter is a athlete herself, so she does trampolining and she does power tumbling, which is like a stem of gymnastics. She also does kung fu, swimming, stagecoach. She does a lot of things. So she manages all of that, obviously with my say so.
Yeah.
But she's the one who takes her around. We try and work together so that we are able to, go to my daughter's competitions as well. So,
Yeah.
being athlete. So yeah, so my mom's handling two athletes.
Poor mum. No, I'm joking.
So yeah, but no, she is so wonderful. She always makes sure she's at, tries to make sure she's at everything as much as possible. And she has always supported any journey I've thrown at her to the max. So yeah, I'm very grateful for the support network I have.
Yeah, for sure. Was it important to you when you went into having a child that your child was going to get into some sort of sport?
No, not necessarily. No.
Yeah.
To be fair, I just wanted her to do whatever she wanted to do that made her happy. It just so happened she wanted to do gymnastics. She didn't even know I did gymnastics before she even went gymnastics. Can you imagine?
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You're like, this is good.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay, she chose it all on her own. She's also chosen other sports that I wasn't particularly into, football being one. She's excelled in that. Tennis, I was not good at that. she's good at the, different sports than me, which is, I think, amazing. So as much as she can get exposed to different sports, the better. I wouldn't say, yes, you must do gymnastics because you chose. No, never been that way. I just wanted to be happy.
Yeah, that's super cool. Do you find that you can input and help her with things like the gymnastics from your own knowledge?
Yes, I do. She does go to a place where she does do gymnastics and she's on a squad. So I do leave the coach their own devices because, as far as I'm concerned, they're good because I decided that she's going to go there. But if she needs my help, she comes to me, of course. And we do go through, the foundations and making sure that she knows that. And I do teach her things if she wants me to teach her certain things. Or if I do see something, I'll be like, okay, maybe we can try this way if this is not working. So yeah, it's been nice.
Yeah, for sure. And with having such a busy schedule, is there certain things for the listeners? There's lots of people that have got children, busy jobs, etc. And it can be hard, committing to a prep and doing what we do. Is there certain things that you could give as sort of tips for people that have got a similar busy schedule?
I would say definitely try and be organized in terms of, I write things down, so it's pretty old school. And I like to tick them off as I go along. So I'll be like, right, this is what I need to get done in the day. I need to pick up my daughter. So that means my workout needs to be done this time. And I need to probably do it for this amount of time. So writing it down and having a plan of action helps. Preparing food and, things like that helps. So that way you're not like, oh, I haven't prepared my food. And then, that goes wrong. And then the whole day goes wrong. So I would say prepare. Prepare your children as well. So be like, right, she's got to go to swimming. I have to do this. If you need any extra help, seek that in advance.
Yeah.
So I'm all about being organized. I organize my diary pretty advanced. And I try to put buffers in there in case things do go wrong, because that is life. Things will go wrong. Someone asked me, oh, you always probably have a perfect prep. And I was like, no, I've had some disasters before every prep, pretty much.
Yeah, there's always something.
So I'm one of those ones where I like to prepare beforehand. So if things do happen, it happens. And then I know at least I have some sort of buffers in place. Obviously, there's things that you cannot control.
Yeah.
But I try to control as much as I can by being organized.
Yeah. And with regards to like meal prepping and your food, do you eat similar things each day? So it's quite easy to do?
Pretty much, yes.
I think it's definitely something that, in a prep, previously years and years ago when I first started out, I'd try and vary it so much that it was so complicated. Where when you just get used to eating pretty much the same thing every day, it's actually much easier because you can just prep it without even thinking about it, and it's just there and you just eat it.
Exactly. Yeah, especially when you're low of energy, you don't want to be thinking, what am I going to eat, what is my macros, how many calories did I take in today? I just want to follow and do.
So much easier. And it's definitely, something that I've learned, that in a prep, especially the tail end, it's very hard to get satiation from, you can enjoy your foods, but you're not going to be fully satiated like you are, in off season or whatever. And I think accepting that and just almost getting on with it, it's so much easier to just do the plan and stick to it.
That's it. Yeah, just do it. That's why I have the tick boxes, tick it off, move on, tick it off, move on. Then my mind's at rest.
And do you get time to, because you mentioned stretching, have recovery in your sort of protocol, as it were?
Yeah, so I stretch every day without fail. Even on my rest day, I have a quick stretch. I also go for regular massages and rehabilitation. That is very important. I remember the time when I didn't do it, and then the feeling afterwards, and then I had a gap where I decided I wasn't going to do it for a little while. And then I was like, oh, wow, this really does make a difference. So I would say, if you are competing, even if you're not competing and you're lifting weights or doing anything that's intense, you should go for regular massages because that will prevent injuries.
Yeah, I here when I stopped for a little bit when I was trying to find a new therapist, it feels a night and day difference, doesn't it?
Yes, it really does. It really does, especially when if you have to remove it for a little bit. I really feel the difference. I would say I had a problem with my wrist before Chicago Pro, pretty big problem. Which some people didn't notice. People who knew me really well did, of course, and they knew anyways. But that therapy and massage techniques that I went through with the person who does my massages pretty much healed it. I do not have a pain now. And if I have a niggle that come up or I can feel something not quite right, I just go to her and she sorts it out and then I'm fine. And also she made me realize certain things about my body that I didn't know that got corrected. And then I'm like, oh, now I can do this. Or it's led to a skill, which I thought I couldn't do. So,
I find as well with massage, you're probably similar. It's nice to have that time away from all of the other stuff and just have that me time, someone focusing on your body and helping you.
Yes, it most definitely is. So yeah, I would say if you haven't thought about doing massage yet, I would go and do that. It's so much better than foam rolling.
Oh, it's so gnarly foam rolling, isn't it? And you've got to apply the pressure yourself, which is always very different if someone else is applying the pressure.
Exactly. Especially when they know what they're talking about and they know what they're doing. With the foam roller, you're just foam rolling away. It does help to an extent, but it's like you're not going to hit that certain point if you're in intense pain.
Yeah, it's very hard to relax into the foam roller completely when it's you that's putting the pain in.
Yeah, because you're not going to go beyond your own pain threshold that you think is painful. Whereas that person can. So the massages, I have to say, they're not like when you go away to like Bali or something and there's rose petals and but you will feel a lot better afterwards. My range of motion, movement, posing, because she managed to open up my lats. Yeah. So it does affect your posing too. Posture, pretty much everything. Joints.
Yeah.
How you sit in your posture could affect your joints as well. So you might have some sort of, knee, hip problem and didn't realize, let's say, for example, your hip is twisted. That could throw your posing off because your shoulder's out of whack. And just by getting your hip corrected means you have no knee pain, means that your posing is, dead on. So it's so important.
And even in the off season as well, I still keep this up. Do you?
Yes, I do as well.
Yeah.
It's a whole year process. Yeah, I don't just stop. Even off season, I always say to everyone, I'm still on prep.
Yeah. Still in training.
Still in training, yeah.
I mean, there's extremes to all of it, isn't there? And off season, when you get your energies back and you can put your calories up and what have you, you've been through your recovery phase, you're then potentially training a bit more or, so you still need these recovery and massage and all of these things that are going to help keep you going and like you say, preventing injuries and things like this.
Yes. And also nutrition as well in off season. I've noticed, some will be like, oh, I'm in off season, so I can do this, I can do that, I can do this. Again, I would say nutrition is so important to having a great off season if you want to improve your physique, that is, and not look the same, or be in a position where you have to start from very far away from what you look like on stage the time before. So I take my off season, no matter if it's mini or long, very seriously.
Do you still incorporate having some sort of meals out with family and friends and things like that in an off season?
Yes.
Yeah.
I enjoy.
Yeah.
It's definitely
it's really not. Yeah.
I'm not the type to be like, I am not going to enjoy this meal. Again, it's all about organization. You have off meal plans. I think you need that to reset your mind. I also would enjoy, someone had a wedding, or I will just organize so that I know that I can enjoy that wedding to the max and eat all 5 courses.
Yeah, I think that's so important what you said there about
Yeah.
organizing and preparation, not
Mhm.
only from obviously having more food and the effects that can have on the physique depending on what you have, but
Yeah.
also mindset wise, going in and knowing, okay, so I've facilitated this and I can fully enjoy it. And then, you know, you've got a plan of action around it so that you don't feel like you're off track, as it were.
Yeah.
Mm. I think you forget that food is to be enjoyed and memories are to be made in life sometimes when you're a bodybuilder, because it does get very, you know, in a prep, everything's so neurotic. But then,
Yes.
you know, having that phase in off season and like you say, going to a wedding or something, it's really nice if you can immerse in that, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. So I always say, yeah, preparation equals you can then enjoy life. Because I think that's so important to enjoy life while you're going through this journey, and not halt your life, which I've heard so many times as well. And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Or I've heard I need to change my friends, my family. I'm like, you can't change your family, but you know, you can't be, don't change things, just incorporate.
Yeah. How does it feel going into sort of Christmas, knowing that you've completed your season? Because it's fairly close, isn't it?
Yes. I'm going to feel great, and I'm going to definitely enjoy
Mm.
the entire thing.
Yeah.
Christmas, you got New Year's, I have my birthday, so yeah, I'm
Mm.
excited.
And is your boyfriend a similar mentality with how he approaches it?
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
handy.
Hard, play harder.
Yeah, because the thing is, you know, if you are going to have an off-plan meal, you can do your training session, you can still do your steps, you can do all of these things that you normally would, eat
Yeah.
lighter around it, and then really
Exactly.
enjoy it, you know?
Yeah.
It's super, super cool.
Yeah. So you can eat a lot of food and go and do a leg workout.
Yeah,
Eat
I
a
always do
calorie.
legs on it.
Yeah. Or I'll eat lots and do gymnastics and go absolutely nuts.
Yeah. And to
You
just
know?
go for a longer walk or things like
Yeah.
this.
Like a walk. You know, build up some more strength, because that way, because you have more calories in.
Yeah, yeah. How do you find communicating with people around you that aren't into bodybuilding and don't understand it? Do you find that quite easy?
Yes, actually. I mean, again, I think I was pretty lucky that I had a very close knit circle before I entered this. I think because I've been an athlete since the age of 8. So the people I let into my circle have to understand that I will always be a little bit nutty, probably, and probably doing some sort of activity. So they've always understood that. And to be fair, they've always pretty much adapted to the point where I'll have to say my bestie. Oh, okay, let's meet up, because we meet up and you know, we plan it. And they're like, oh, I know you're in a prep, so let's go. I think it was shuffleboarding. So you know when you
Yeah.
throw, yeah. And I was like, oh, I thought we were gonna sit at, you know, someone's house and have a cup of tea. I have to do more cardio.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I think some people think, oh, they'd love that, but in a
But
prep,
you know
like,
what? It's all love, because they have literally thought about me every time. Even going to weddings, they've, you know, they were like, we will make you a special meal. And I'm like, no, I'm going to enjoy what you know, but they would go above and beyond to make sure that I'm always included, which is absolutely amazing. Even when it comes to, you know, going to a restaurant, they'll make sure it's food there that I can eat. And it's not that hard to do that. So I will do the same. So I would say that if you have a circle that's not willing to do that, maybe you should look at your circle. So,
this is something we do talk
yeah.
about quite a lot on the pod, and I talk about it to people on Instagram. I've had people sort of say, how do you find these people though that will understand? And I think in a certain respect, if you take ownership for what your focuses are and how you want to live your life, and you're open and transparent about that, you sort of attract that back, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you say, I'm doing this journey, whether you like it or not, people will come on board.
Mm.
You know, I think where a lot of people will go wrong is if they decide to do a journey and then they decide to keep backing out, or, you know, others see that they are not fulfilling that journey that they said they were going to fulfill.
Yeah, yeah. And then you get the comments and things as well, don't you?
Yeah. So
Mm.
if you are all in, I'm pretty sure if, you know, they are your friends, they will be all in with you, because
Mm-hmm.
they can see that this is what you want to do. This is it. So if they're your friends, they will support you on that.
Mm. Do you have people come to your shows that you're friends?
Oh, yes, I do.
So cool, isn't it?
Gosh, I even had one. She surprised me this time at the Arnold. It was so surreal. I just saw her staring at me at the curtains. So yeah, she was doing a tan for another competition, and that it was clashing, in which it was actually. So she was like, "Oh, I can't come," and then there she was by the curtain, and I was like,
Oh,
"So yeah," she
that's so
somehow
nice.
ran across somehow to get there in time. So yeah, I do have quite a bit of support. Not just friends. I've got people out there who are rooting for me, which I found out when I did my shows. It's been absolutely mind blowing. The amount of people I had at the Arnold's as well just came and watched me, and supporting me no matter what placing I get or how I do on stage. They're like, we go, and I'm gosh, but yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, I actually had Charlie Garforth, who's a UK UP judge, on the pod, and he was saying people fall in love with your journey. It's not necessarily what your placing is on the day. They just
Yeah.
love, you probably get it. You get people on Instagram that you sort of befriend, you've never met, but they see what you're putting into a prep, or, what you've done as bodybuilder. And suddenly it's like, wow, we're almost friends, but we never met.
Yes, that's why I feel like I've got probably thousands of friends out there.
Yeah,
but
it's so cool.
but yes, and I've had people, I've spoke to in Messenger and DMs, and then you finally meet them, and it's like, wow. And I've made some really good friends from, the same thing. So it's nice as well how this journey can, bring you together with, people that you thought you wouldn't necessarily be brought together with.
Yeah, for sure.
Then you start to build up another community of friends who share similar interests as well.
Yeah, yeah, and
So that's
understand.
quite cool. And then I've managed, and then you start to merge the two together.
Yeah, I've done that as well. And then this sort of eclectic mix of people, and I think I never would have put you lot together, but you're like getting on really well. This is super
Yeah,
cool.
exactly. And also like having, going through my journey of I'm inspired, my friends that not necessarily been into fitness, to lose weight, for health reasons, which has been absolutely amazing, or to even change their outlook on how they look and be like, oh, I'm going to lift some weight because I want to look toned, never thought I could. And that for me is like the best. That's the most rewarding for me. So
Yeah, for sure. It's so nice when someone said, you sometimes get people that say, I've watched your journey. They've never told you they're watching your journey, but they've, like you say, lost weight because they've seen bits of what you've done and they've incorporated a little bit. And then
yeah,
they tell you and you're like, bloody hell, I've like sort of changed someone's life without even knowing. And it's such a
yeah,
nice thing, isn't it?
such a nice thing. Yeah, I even remember getting a message when someone messaged me and said, "Oh, you didn't post workouts this week of you doing a workout, because every time I see you do a workout, I go to the gym." I was like, "What?" And there's me just posting, back day. And I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like, "Wow, it's actually okay."
Mm.
So, it's just little things like that. You don't realize that you're inspiring others, not just you stepping on stage, just you living your life.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and I've also realized that this journey it's not about weights. It's literally changed my life in terms of confidence,
Yeah.
going for promotions and jobs, how you carry yourself. So there's so much more to this than just lifting weights. And I've always tried to get that out there to others, that this journey could be life changing if you let it in.
Yeah, for sure. Before we wrap up, I must ask you, is there any tips that you'd give the listeners if they were looking at competing internationally? It's something we've covered before, but because it's coming up for you, is there certain preparations and things that you think people could consider if they are competing abroad?
Yeah, so competing abroad, I would say, because let's say in the UK, I have a team here, so I will get taken care of. Make sure you scope and prepare. I'm going to keep saying prepare. Organize early. So if you know you need to organize your makeup, your hair, your nails, all of that, because you're traveling abroad, try and get that sorted early. So that way you are stress-free in terms of that before you hit stage. Because last thing you want is to do last minute adjustments and it goes wrong. And then you're all frazzled when you go on stage, or you don't think you look the way you're supposed to look. And then that your confidence comes down. You don't want that. Yeah. So I would say prepare, get organized, look at the shows as well. And if you can, do a couple of shows, like you said earlier. So let's say, for example, if you're in America and you know that there's a show in 2 weeks' time and it's not, too much of a hassle to take a plane across, try and do that. Or tours, I should say, because you're in peak condition. So I would say, just try and do some research as well. And again, if you're going to try and go for an Olympia qualifier, make sure it's an Olympia qualifier show you're doing. If you're in fitness, let's say you're an amateur, make sure, or try and, think, is there over 5 people? Although you can appeal now, so that's good. You can send your video footage and your physique round, and they will say whether you can become a pro or not, which I think is amazing. Because before you had to have 5 people in order to get your pro cards.
Okay.
Yeah, so they put provisions in place now for that. But I would say again, try and see, if there's any competition there, if you need it to be, because it might be just a warm up, because you can do that as well. Organize, obviously, whether there's other shows, and then organize, your look on the day, and make sure that's all in place. And then obviously the things around it, make sure you have you don't have to have a coach, but it's wise to have a coach if you're starting off, I should say. So make sure that's in place. Posing is extremely important, as we've covered. So make sure you have someone looking at your posing. And then support. Make sure the support team's in check too. So, and if you don't, try and revise.
You can constantly reassess your circle, your support network. It's definitely something I try and hit home with people, that, don't be scared to say no or come away from friendships if they're not right.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, there are people who will connect with you. I mean, there's a lot of people in this world.
You just got to find them.
Yeah. And pretty much, if you're doing, what you want to do, those people will gravitate towards you. So
for sure. What a way to end the pod. Thank you for coming on, Shelly. It's flown by. Super cool episode. And if anyone wants to reach out about coaching or follow, of course, your Olympia journey, then is Instagram the best place?
Instagram is definitely the best place. So that's Shelly Fit _IFBB Pro.
Of course. Why not? What a great Insta handle. Well, thank you again, Shelly. And I'm sure I will speak to you soon.
Yes.
Of course, before you go on the Olympia stage, we will touch base. And then after, on how you get on. So thank you. And I will speak to you soon.
Yeah, speak to you soon.
Bye,
Take
Shelly.
care.